Yo, what's up, guys? Let's find some bets. College football starting to pop up. Taco Tuesday, pretty disappointing. It looks like Gray. 3 for 4 currently here. I assume Diamond Miller, she's screwing us everywhere. We had her in another slip too. Horrible basketball player. Missed a ton of open layups. But still, hopefully we can get the 2x. Again, what's nice about PrizePicks, you go 4 for 5. We're still getting a 2x payout. Underdog Fantasy, no idea what's going on here. Hopefully we get the 6x. Walker over 28 kills. So we had a decent day on Underdog Fantasy yesterday. But regardless, without further ado, let's start looking at some bets for tomorrow. So again, like college football starting to pop up. Some value on DraftKings, different sports books. If you're new to the live streams, a pretty simple concept. When you're finding bets, just using value, right? The sports betting market is very fragmented. All these books, they all set lines independently, right? It's kind of like if you were a day trader and you went to E-Trade and the price of Facebook were $300. On Fidelity, it were $250. You'd be like, wow, that's crazy. Only really in sports betting do you get a market that's so fragmented, right? But it also means we have tons of data points telling us where a line is set. So this will be the first bet I'll lock in. So this sportsbook right here, Fliff. You can see some college football plays are starting up for this weekend. Why don't we wait till this weekend to bet college football? Great lines. They're not going to last forever. Like this line on Fliff looks really good. Plus 140. You got two other sports books telling you this should be priced at plus 119. So plus 140 seems pretty dang good. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this in. Again, it's on Fliff. You just go to alternate total points, and then we'll start looking at some underdog fantasy plays. So we started hitting some college football bets on the earlier live stream. You can see there's, again, some sportsbooks are starting to drop lines here. Over 48, plus 100 on Fliff. The other two sportsbooks, Bookmaker, Pinnacle, both pretty sharp sportsbooks. They both have the over favored. So there's a lot of college football value starting to pop up. But without further ado, let's get into Underdog Fantasy. So again, if you're new to the live stream, more sports books you got, the better. All these books have different promos. Today, it was PrizePicks, Taco Tuesday, Alyssa Thomas cruised over. 3 for 4 here. Again, it would have been nice to get the 5x, but whatever. But the more sports books, you get, the better. Because again, all these books have different lines. There's 207 sports books out there. Most of these books probably won't be legal, in your state. But there's probably 10 or so books that you have access to that you can get. So you can see there's some good tennis bets on FanDuel. Well, it actually looks like they just ripped this line from minus 116 to minus 130. You can see that right here, right? It was minus 116. They ripped it down to minus 130. So you're kind of day trading the sports books. That's how the pros do it. That's how the sharps do it. You just got to be fast, right? You got to be quick to get in on some of these really good, betting opportunities, because good lines are not going to last forever. But let's start looking at some plays. Some plays, we can start out on Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy, there's usually some pretty good esports bets. We'll go over to PrizePicks here in a second, but might as well start on Underdog. So like this play, for example, random. And again, like esports, I know it's a very random sport to bet on, but the great thing about esports is there's, like 50 games a day. And 50 games a day, that means there's a lot of opportunity for sportsbooks to screw up. NFL, there's basically only games on Sunday. There's games on Monday, but it's a lot easier for sportsbooks to manage their lines. So if you take a look here, these guys go hard, right? This is a triple header that this guy's playing tomorrow. But if you look at the first game, Random's line is 5 on ParlayPlay. It's 4 on Underdog Fantasy. So you could middle bet this, right? You could take the over 4. You could take the under 5 on ParlayPlay. Again, you're going to need multiple sports books if you want to middle bet. But if you take a look at the other books, PrizePicks and SportsBattle, again, as sharp bettors, like all these books, they invest millions of dollars, millions of bucks in their ability to set lines. So I'm not going to create a better model than PrizePicks. PrizePicks, again, has hundreds of employees watching their lines, hundreds of engineers. I'm not going to outmodel them, but I'm going to use their lines to my advantage as a source of, information. So we can see, Underdog has the line at 4, PrizePicks 4.5, ParlayPlay 5. So, and then SportsBattle, another, platform, but they don't have a website, so I can't pull it up right here. But they also have the line just like PrizePicks at 4.5. So, seems like Underdog Fantasy is screwing up, right? Their line's a little too low. So that's a good play to go with. So maybe we lock in this play as our first pick. And what we can also do is we can see if we can pull up the sportsbook screen. Some people prefer this layout. This just shows you the raw data, right? Every trader has a Bloomberg terminal. Every sports bettor, you got to be considering data when you're making your bets. So if we take a look at, what do we want to look at? Player props. What do we want? First 3 map kills. That's what we're going to be betting on. No, map 1 kills is what we're looking at. So if we look at map 1, right here, first map player kills, we can kind of take a look at these lines. Sometimes there's other sports books that post lines, but again, what kind of sucks about esports is there's not a ton of books, right? Whereas in the MLB, you have tons of data points, right? Here it's pretty clear, PointsBet's giving us really good value at plus 115. In the MLB, there's tons of sports books that post lines. NFL money lines, very liquid market. Tons of sports books post lines, right? So it's pretty clear this plus 140 on the Dolphins week 1, pretty good bet. But anyways, let's go back here. We have 3 data points telling us the line should be higher. That seems pretty good. And then we can go to this next player, and it seems so simple. But so if we look at this player, Bow, right? Once again, we found another discrepancy. So all the OddsJam tools, are doing, whether it's the fantasy optimizer, positive EV tool, it's just pointing out value in the market, discrepancies for the sports books, that maybe you're using. So Fliff, whatever. Fliff is a good sports book. I talk about it a lot. And again, what's nice about this sports book, Fliff, is it's legal in basically every state, whereas, DraftKings is only in 10 or 12 states or something like that. So we can see there's some different college football bets, but let's finish out this Underdog Fantasy slip. So we can take a 3-pick entry. On Underdog, I go with a lot of 3-pick entries. So we don't want to play this, though. You don't want to play players on opposing teams. If you're new to the live streams, you don't want to play players on opposing teams, both to go under. If anything, you want to play players on opposing teams to go opposite directions. That's positively correlated, but so we'll skip over that play, and we'll try to see, what else strikes our eye. So maybe this play, right? Legolas. So if we look at his line, all the other sportsbooks, had his line. So I'm not going to be able to bet this because these players are in the same game. So on Underdog Fantasy, unfortunately, you can't pair players on the same team in the same game. They don't let you do that, which is a little annoying because taking 2 players from the same team, both to go over, is a good thing. But that doesn't mean we can't find a good bet to pair with this. So let's just take a look. You can see there's a lot of line discrepancies. So sportsbooks, they kind of drop esports lines. There's just so many games. It seems like they're always dropping esports lines. But we have 2 really good picks. We want a 3rd pick to go with. Doesn't seem like MLB lines are out for tomorrow, basically just esports. Or we can start looking at the NFL, Thrive Fantasy. They have some really good NFL plays. We went through some earlier, You can see Saquon Barkley, they have his rushing yards line. FanDuel, they haven't posted NFL player props for week 1, but you can see a lot of the fantasy sites have. Thrive Fantasy posted Barkley's line at 77.5. The other sportsbooks are at 73.5. So again, it's pretty simple. All the fantasy optimizer's doing is reading in all this crap, literally tens of thousands of lines, and then just pointing out the discrepancies, right? Most lines aren't discrepancies or big discrepancies. So we want to zone in, obviously, on the big discrepancies. We're hunting through all this crap on Underdog Fantasy for those 3 or 4 picks that are, actually good. So what we can do is we can kind of take a look through. Maybe we can find a player on the opposing team that's positively correlated. But anyways, let's try to lock in a slip real quick. So we already have this player, Bow. Nariman, again, this player, we don't want to take his under because negative correlation. But we can kind of take a look here. So my strategy is I like to find, like this play on Legolas, I like to find the plays where Underdog Fantasy is screwing up versus every other sportsbook. So like this Legolas guy, every other sportsbook has his line higher at 6.5 or 6. So it's pretty clear, like, yeah, Underdog Fantasy, they're the ones screwing up here. But we can skip over that and we can go to, like, what's a good one? ACD under 4. So if we take a look at this play, ACD under 4. So this play seems decent. I got to get rid of this play. Then we have a little 3-pick entry on Underdog Fantasy. And again, like, the main reason I'm using these fantasy sites is they're legal basically everywhere in the U.S., and they're also legal in my location, so I'm betting on them. Whereas, like, you know, FanDuel, it's not legal. But you can see there's some good college football bets on FanDuel. I think we hit this earlier on the past live stream. I don't even remember. Placing as many bets as we can. So this is the play I'm going to lock in on Underdog Fantasy, though, if you just want to tail it. We had a decent day. So what we can do is, do we already have this play on Fliff? Let's take a look. Over 48 at plus 100. So this play seems great, right? You have two of the smarter sportsbooks. Getting plus 100 odds is kind of like a, you know, like a coin flip. It's like you're flipping a coin for $100 with a friend. So 3-pick League of Legends entry. And again, it seems so degenerate to bet on League of Legends, but like there's tons of games, right? So tons of opportunity. I mean, there's like limitless games. Look at all this crap. There's so many games, right? Lots of games, lots of opportunity, you know, for sportsbooks to mess up their lines. Although, obviously, with college football starting up, there's going to be a lot of college football player prop lines. Pretty excited about that. PrizePicks, Underdog, a lot of sportsbooks last year. First year I've seen, you know, most books have college football player props, which is great. But, you know, like here, it's like Pinnacle, Bookmaker, two of the smarter sportsbooks. You can see this is the positive EV tool. They both have, you know, the over as the favored outcome, right? Bookmaker, Pinnacle, they both have the over as the favored outcome. So, like, those are two data points, pretty sharp bookmakers telling you, hey, this game's more likely to go over as opposed to under. It's kind of like finding a coin weighted in your favor, right? The coin's more likely to show up on heads as opposed to tails, right? According to these two sharp bookmakers, game's more likely to go over as opposed to under. Right? But we're getting plus 100 odds. So it's like flipping a coin with a friend for $100, but the coin is weighted in your favor. The coin is weighted to show up on heads more often, and we're getting $100 if the coin shows up heads. So are there any other college football bets this we hit on the previous live stream? I mean, this play looks decent, right? You have Bovada, Pinnacle pricing this at minus 110. Fliff's giving us plus 105. Virginia, Tennessee, we got the Southern boys. So we can go ahead, we can lock this in. Might as well lock in some college football bets. We're going to have a big weekend. So if we go here, we want to go to Virginia versus Tennessee. So you can pull this up on Fliff. Again, Fliff doesn't have a website, so I'm just betting it from the app on my computer. But this play seems pretty clearly good, right? The other sportsbooks telling you, yo, this line should be at minus 110. And then we're getting plus 105 on Fliff. So that seems pretty good, especially because Pinnacle's, you know, one of the more sharp bookmakers, right? Smarter bookmakers. We've put a bit more weight into their odds. So these differences, like, really make a difference, right? Like, getting minus 110 versus plus 105, you know, that's the type of crap that turns you from being a losing sports bettor to a winning sports bettor, right? Finding value. No one's going to win every bet, but if you have an edge, you're going to win long term. But anyways, we can reload Underdog Fantasy. Maybe we'll find some good plays. So we can look through these. So again, I prefer the ones where every sportsbook is posting lines and they're all aligned that, yo, Underdog Fantasy is the one screwing up their line. So like this player, there's only 2 books posting lines. So, you know, here there's only one other sportsbook posting lines. So maybe we like skip over those for now and look for the ones where there's like more data points. Just like this play on random we went through earlier. Like here, it's like every sportsbook is telling you the same thing. Like, yo, they're screwing up their lines. So anyways, this play we didn't go with earlier. This play on Narrowman, but we wanted to, but it was negatively correlated, so we skipped it over. But now we can include it in a new slip. We want to take him under 3.5. And again, you have options. If you don't like risk, right, what you could do is, again, if you have multiple sports books, you take the over 2.5, on ParlayPlay, you take the under 3.5. Like, that's a big discrepancy. Imagine if Connor McDavid was 2.5 shots on goal, 3.5 shots on goal on Underdog. You'd be like, whoa, that's crazy. Same thing in esports, right? This guy's line is centered around 3 kills on map 1. There's a pretty good chance he ends map 1 with exactly 3 kills. So if you wanted to, you could middle bet this, take the over, take the under on Underdog Fantasy. If he has 3 kills, you're going to win both bets, which is a good thing. Which is a really good thing if you can get it to happen. If we can get it to happen. And they're not going to hit every time. Like, your middles aren't going to hit every day. But still, pretty nice. So we can go to Valdi under 3. So if you take a look here, right? Man, these guys go hard. They have triple headers. But still, you can see PrizePicks has his line at 2.5. The other sportsbooks have his line at 2.5. So that seems like a pretty dang good play to go with. And then you can look at Kabachard, right? And again, like, more is better in terms of how many bets you're placing. And the reason for that is, like, you know, you can see here, wait, what do we want to go with? Under 3. So this play, right? Well, no, do we? So it's kind of weird because these guys, this guy, right, like, the same team is playing 2 different teams in the same day, right? Double headers, I'm usually used to seeing the same team playing. But regardless, right, value in the data. And again, when you follow a very data-driven approach to your betting, you're not betting with your gut. Most people bet with their gut, but it doesn't work, right? That's why we don't do it. So we can go to Legolas over 3.5. We could even make a little, you know, 5-pick entry if we wanted to. So on Underdog Fantasy, I generally go with these 3-pick entries. They're giving you a 6x payout. On PrizePicks, you know, 3-pick entries are pretty bad. And the reason they're pretty bad is, you know, you can see right here, they're only giving you a 5x payout. So, like, that type of stuff really matters long term, you know. Just how many bets you're including in your Underdog Fantasy entry. So again, we can go back here. I mean, we can take a look too. I know a lot of people use FanDuel, Caesars, DraftKings. These are popular books. I love them. I just don't have access to them right now. But you can see there's some, you know, like soccer was one of my most profitable sports on FanDuel. Just a lot of opportunity in soccer. You can see some college football plays starting to show up. But again, like, there's not a ton of value right now on FanDuel compared to Fliff. Right? And as you know, as a sports bettor, you like follow the value. Wherever there's an edge, that's where you're betting. You follow the hot market. Wherever books are, you know, messing up their lines, that's what you wanna that's what we want to be on. So we can take a look at this, ACD under 4. So this would be the play we want to go with, right? Under 4. That play seems decent. I mean, there's a lot of discrepancies in general. It looks like there's a shit ton of esports games tomorrow. I mean, look at this. Like, tens of thousands of lines. You know these people at Underdog Fantasy are not working at 10:15 p.m. on a Tuesday, so they're asleep at the wheel, right? And we're going to take advantage of all their crappy lines. So here, we don't want to take this play on ACD, though, because we already have a play from the same game. So we don't want to go with that. But what we could do is place a 4-pick entry. So again, on Underdog, so here we have 4. No. Well, this is just a 3-pick. Whatever. We'll place a 3-pick. That's good enough with me. So there we go. We got a 3-pick entry. And that's our second slip on Underdog Fantasy. What's up, guys? DFS stands for Daily Fantasy Sports. What props do I think are locks? Man, I don't know. If I did, that would be great. Affiliate DFS. DFS strategies. And again, on Underdog, like, you know, just like PrizePicks, you want to go with 5-pick flex plays. It just depends how many picks you should be going with. So you can check out this article. It kind of breaks down depending on the platform, right? Like PrizePicks gives you, you know, pretty shitty payouts for 3-pick entries, whereas Underdog Fantasy, you know, you're betting 100 to win 600. So better payouts than PrizePicks. So that's why I placed a ton of 3-pick entries on Underdog. Hopefully this play on Walker won. If anyone has an update, you can put it in the chat. That would be much appreciated. I hope it won. That would be a good thing. So didn't we just lock in this play? So you can see now, I mean, this is pretty common, is oftentimes you'll see, you know, if there's a good bet on 1-point spread, usually the sportsbook messes up a lot of point spreads, right? So like for this game, we just hit what? What did we just hit? we just hit the under 57 at plus 105 odds, and now we're hitting the under 57 half at plus 100 odds. And again, like, it's crazy because all these sports books right there. So here you can see, you know, Pinnacle, Bookmaker, same thing. They both got the under favored. But again, like, these lines will be constantly moving. So you can see Pinnacle has moved, right? They're moving lines in favor of the under, right? Like, so up until September 2nd, obviously the game's a bit away. Weather's going to change. There will be injuries, lineup changes, all sorts of crap that's going to move around lines, right? That's why lines move. That's why, you know, the price of a stock changes every day. There's new information in the market, you know. Oh, the company's doing well. It made a lot of money. Stock price goes up. So because every sports book sets lines independently, you know, that means they all have to update lines, right? They all got to update their odds. So what we're doing is we're catching when sports books are asleep at the wheel. You're literally day trading the sports books. So you can see there's some other bets. You know, if you wanted to double down on San Jose State UFC, here's another one to go with. But maybe we continue to go down the underdog fantasy train while we can. So a lot of these plays we've started to work in. You know, as you get lower, the discrepancies, you know, they get a little worse. But this play seems solid, right? Kai, under 40 half. Every other book has his line 39 or 38 half. That play seems decent. So we can start building maybe one final slip on Underdog Fantasy. We've been doing a lot of Underdog Fantasy on this live stream, but we've been doing all right. So can't complain with that. And then we have 6-10 under, what do we want to take? Under 5. So this is the second game. Third game, I apologize. Make sure you pick the right games. And then, you know, you got a reason to stay up all night long because there's a ton of bets out there. So we can see we got this play on 6-10, okay? This play looks even better, though, right? So here's another one, and again, you could middle bet it. For the second game, PrizePicks has his line at 4.5. Underdog has his line at 5.5. Again, that's crazy. Like, I don't think people understand how crazy it is. You could middle bet this. You take the over on PrizePicks, the under on Underdog Fantasy. It's kind of like you buy a stock, you're buying a player for $4.50, then you're turning around and you're flipping him for $5.50. You know, if he has exactly 5 kills, you're going to win both bets, and his line is centered around 5, which is crazy, right? And again, NFL player props have started to come out for week 1. I'm not sure if the preseason's over, but you can see, long story short, there's, you know, more books will start to release odds, obviously, for week 1. But you can see, like, Nick Chubb, there's some value on the under on Thrive Fantasy. They have his line at 93.5. Other sportsbooks have his line at like 86.5 on Hot Streak. So maybe you want to middle bet that too. You could, right? You could take his over 86.5 on Hot Streak, his under 93.5 on Thrive. Then if he has, you know, 87 to 93 rushing yards, you win both bets, right? That's sharp sports betting. That's how you get an edge. And again, this isn't something you can look for this. You can look for this stuff manually. You can pull up the different books, look for where they're screwing up lines versus one another. All OddsJam is doing is reading in, you know, millions of odds and pointing out those discrepancies to you. So let's refresh this. Are there any other plays on Fliff? There's a lot of college football bets on Fliff. There's some good stuff on FanDuel. FanDuel soccer. Soccer was one of my most profitable sports on FanDuel. So we have this play on 6-10. Right? Okay. Crazy. I mean, what we could do is both of these bets were good, is we could fade this player in both games. Right? You can see Underdog's fucking up his line for both game 2 and game 3. So can we bet this? I mean, both plays have value. Both plays are good. 3 pick entries on Underdog. No other sportsbook, even ParlayPlay, which has honestly pretty dang good payouts. They have big 3 lines up, big 3 lines up, big 3 lines are up. Even ParlayPlay, which has pretty good payouts, isn't giving you a 6x payout for these 3 pick entries. Only Underdog, right? But we can see, and they let me bet it. We're fading this guy. We're fading this guy to the maximum tomorrow. We're hoping he just has a bad day. But honestly, it works out kind of nicely, right? This play seems pretty good, right? Both plays have value, right? This first one was really good. PrizePicks got his line at 4.5. Underdog's at 5.5, right? Like pretty clear value. And then if he has a bad game, maybe the second game, he's more likely to have a bad game. I don't know. That's not based in anything, but maybe it's true. We can take a look at ParlayPlay. I mean, the thing is it's a lot of the same crap, and it's not sexy. Like, people love to overcomplicate their sports betting with like, oh, I read the weather report. You know, for like football, people like to, you know, so many people like to act all serious reading weather reports. The thing is that's already baked into the odds, right? Like, it's like if Mark Zuckerberg goes to prison tomorrow, Facebook stock will probably go down. It gets baked into the market. So lineup changes, injuries, all that crap ends up being reflected in the odds that sportsbooks are putting out, right? And again, we're not going to win every bet, which is why most people, you know, don't understand positive EV betting. It's not like a lock, but that's how you get an edge. You win long term. So again, what we could do is we could middle bet this on PrizePicks. We just took the under 5.5. But anyways. Walker at 13 kills, almost done game 2. That seems good. Thank you for the update. Walker is chalked. He's chalked. Oh, he's at 13. Damn. That's not good. But anyways, let's go back here. We can take a look at other sports books. ParlayPlay. Again, more books you have, the better. All these books have different promos, different types of things going on. Again, some of these plays you can middle bet. You can see there's just a lot of esports line discrepancies in general. I mean, like like this play on Nariman, we took his under, right? We took his under 3.5. Seems pretty good if you wanted to, taking his over 2.5 on ParlayPlay. But anyways, is there anything that's not League of Legends? Looks like there's some Valorant plays. What do we want to go with? But honestly, we can call it a day for now. I mean, it's a lot of the same crap. We locked in some good slips on Underdog. Maybe I'll be back on live later, but I mean, we hit 3 bets now. No, 2 bets. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of a late night sweat. So maybe we'll come back on live later, but feel free to email me with any questions you have at all. So hopefully this live stream was helpful, just going through some bets. I'll be back on live later, but I hate hearing myself talk about the same shit over and over. But that's how you make money, right? It's not sexy, but finding value